Sorry, Dave, a bit flustered because I got a late shout for this one, but and I've just literally made it, so no preparation at all. Nothing new there.
Don't worry about that. All your colleagues are very similar, don't worry.
Just wanting to start off while I get my breath, any injury updates at all?
Like anything else, you know, when you play a game on a Sunday and you've got a midweek game, it can take a bit out of you. So I think, like everybody else, we're all probably recovering. It's to have 3 Premier League games in a week for any teams is always an ask, and it's going to test your squad and your players you have. So it'll test us, but hopefully we'll be okay.
So nobody for sure going to be missing out additionally? I
didn't say that.
Yeah. So any names or?
No, of course not. You know, so but like everybody else, it's been the games come thick and fast, and it makes it difficult. Yeah.
So you got the new fella in, record signing. Just tell us the thinking behind that and how pleased you are.
I'm really pleased. Right from the start, we've been watching him for a long time. Obviously, he really came to our attention more when we played him against Lyon, and he was the standout player we felt who was sort of a game changer for them. And when we looked a lot deeper, we went in, we knew he was. We didn't think he was ever going to be available, and I never thought for any time that I thought that we'd make it happen. So a big thank you to the board for making it happen. But he was always a player we felt could play 2 or 3 positions, probably more than that. And then we started to have a look back at his games for Brazil and how well he'd done for Brazil as well, and his record for them. So it all made good sense if we could get him. But look, getting good players and expensive players aren't easy.
Being a record signing can sometimes be a little bit of a heavy load. Do you have any fears in that regard?
Yeah, I might question your word record signing, but Sky have got to put out their what they think the value is, so that's right. No problem with that.
And in terms of his readiness to play and the paperwork, is he involved tomorrow?
Well, he's not trained with us. He's we've only got the paperwork done last night late, and we're waiting on him arriving in today because he's had to go and get his visa, etc. and today, so that's caused us a little bit of problem this morning. But look, he's signed, which is a great news for us. We're really pleased we've got him, and I really hope that he'll be a big addition to us and a good player for West Ham in the future.
And obviously still a little while to go in the window. Everyone in this room, and I'm sure beyond, will breathe a sigh of relief when it's finally closed, including yourself.
Not half.
But do you think any more in or out?
I wouldn't say completely say no, but in the same breath, it could easily be yes as well, because we've got 1 or 2 things we have to look at, and it could change. We've got some young players who are wanted by other clubs and different things, so things could change that way. No, it might not necessarily be people coming in, it might be some people going out.
One that's been flagged to me while I was in the cars, Craig Dawson apparently would quite like to go back to the Midlands, and a couple of Midland clubs showing an interest. Could you let him go given the current situation? Well,
he's had an injury for the best part of 4 weeks or 5 weeks. He's back training now. Ideally we wouldn't, but it's probably a much more complicated situation than what it is. So that's something which it's an ongoing thing at the moment, and we'll just need to see how it goes.
And available for nothing, one of yours, Ross Barkley. Would there be any prospect of him?
Look, I would never rule MD out, but I've got to say, Ross was. I gave him his debut when he was 16, and he's had a really good career. He's played for England and played for big clubs. So if it's not us, then I wish him well wherever he does go.
You feel if it's not you, he's still got plenty to offer the game?
I think so. Yeah, I believe so, and. I think sometimes when you're in this situation, you maybe get a little bit more to prove now, because you have to come back and show people exactly what you are.
Can I ask you, just a final one before I ask you about the actual game, which is what we're here for. Scott Parker, the first to be sacked in the Premier League this season.
Really disappointed for Scott, because I think he was one of the young English managers who I think was making headway. I thought to get Bournemouth up last year, he done a really good job. He was successful at Fulham as well. So I don't think Scott Parker will be too long out of work, because I think there's a lot of clubs who'll be looking for Scott. But I'm always disappointed when managers lose their job, because it's a difficult ask. But when we come into it, I think we all know exactly that, you know, it can never. Sometimes it's not that far away. But disappointed for Scott, and but I don't think he'll be out the game too long.
So a London derby, midweek.
Yeah.
Not going to sound of the lights, but probably not. But always great events.
Huge game for our club, and you know, we want to try and perform well. I think we've tried to give the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea and whoever else we're playing good games, and I think we have done over the last couple of seasons. No doubt that Tottenham have improved, they've signed well, you know, they've already got some top class players. 2 London derbies back to back, in fact. Yeah, it's interesting how the fixtures have come. You know, I feel that we've had quite a difficult opening, but in saying that, you have to take the games as they come along.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. Niv from PLP.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
You had a busy summer in terms of recruitment. Do you find the recruitment now even more challenging, because you are also playing in Europe? You are not only aiming domestically but competing in European football as well?
Yeah, because we're trying to have a level of play that we think we could use in both competitions. And look, we've also, as you rightly said, we've probably had quite a big turnaround. But we knew that this was happening. I knew at the end of last season was the way it was going to go, and the game the players were going to bring in, and an idea of the numbers which was going to be required. So that's the way it's panned out. But I think because of Europe, then we're trying to make sure we've got enough to field 2 good teams if we need to do so, and I hope we can get that.
That win at Villa, did you see it coming? Because obviously you had some positive performances before that in the league, but without that precious win.
I always see the wins coming. It's getting them's the hard bit. We always plan to win, and we always attack the games in a way where we think we're going to. Sometimes it might not look like it, but I thought there was little bits. I've been saying sort of week by week, there's been little bits of signs, not all of it. Certainly wasn't all at Villa. We got a little bit of good fortune at Aston Villa. We got a deflected goal, which gave us a luck. When you think of at Notts Forest, we'd hit the bar underside of the bar twice, and one kicked off the line, and a goal disallowed, and missed a penalty. So we might have been due a little bit of good fortune. But look, Aston Villa are a really good team, really good squad of players. So it was to win away from home for us was really important.
And that big improvement at Spurs, the level of resiliency since Antonio Conte took the job, what do you think is it down to?
It's down to an incredibly good coach. You know, someone who knows how to win, someone who knows how to set his teams up to get results. Sometimes, and I admire him, because sometimes it's not because of style. He's only interested in winning, which is, I think, to be a top manager, that has to really be at the forefront. You have to be able to win, and sometimes it isn't always done with the most degree of style. But he's very fortunate as well to have 1 or 2 hugely talented footballers in his team as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David, a lot of people criticised or were critical of the Alex Neil decision at the weekend to leave Sunderland for Stoke.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see Scott Parker today being sacked after 4 games at Bournemouth. In a sense, is there loyalty in football anymore? Should we ever question managers who move?
No,
you know that they can be sacked the next day?
No, I don't think we should ever question the managers. I think that supporters of their clubs, but I think the media, you probably boys quite enjoy it, because you know it sees changes. You've got something to talk about. You've got questions to ask the managers, things to write and as I say, speak about. But look, I'm disappointed that Scott Parker would lose his job so early. I thought he's done a really good job getting Bournemouth up. He was really successful at Fulham as well. And you know, it's very hard to be successful in football management. If you think of how many managers have success every year, there might only be 3 or 4 good enough maybe to win a trophy, end up in Europe, maybe win a league title. You know, and there'll be another 3 or 4 who might have overachieved, done better. It's very hard to be a successful manager, and I think Scott's had a couple of years of where I say he got Bournemouth up. That's a great job doing that, and he'd done a good job at Fulham as well in my estimation. So I think he won't have a problem if he wants to work again. That's for sure.
If I take into account your signings and what we think you paid for them, you spent £180 million this summer, thereabouts. Does that A, put pressure on you, B, does it push West Ham into the next bracket up in terms of Premier League clubs because they're now spending that much amount of money?
I'd like to answer that by saying yes, definitely. We've spent really well. The board have done a great job in making funds available. Have we spent enough to get maybe the ones really at that top end? I would have to say probably not. But I still think that we've got a really good squad of players. But I think the difference was this year we were short in January. We chose not to bring MD in. We didn't think we could find someone who could really help us or replace Mickey Antonio at times in games. We didn't see it, and I've got to say, it's really easy to sign players. It's easy for everybody to name a player and think we'll get them. The harder bit is actually sometimes to say no and actually try and wait your time and be patient. That's what I believe. But I do think that we needed the numbers, so we were always going to have to spend and get the numbers in, so it was always probably going to be an expensive spend this year.
And with Paqueta and with Skamaka coming in, are you going to change the way West Ham play from last season, which was successful, to accommodate them, or will they have to change the way they play to accommodate you?
I think as a manager you always have to mould to what your players have got as well. I think you have to pick up what you think the players bring to the team. I think, for example, Mickey Antonio, has done an unbelievable job in the way he's played centre forward for us. Skamaka will be a different type of centre forward. Paqueta can play 10 or 8 and would be different to, say, a Jesse Lingard who played for us and done really well, or maybe we're playing side Ben Rama. He can also play a bit deeper if we choose to play him in 3 midfield players, which might give us a chance to do that as well. So I think what we've got is a bigger flexibility than what we had before, but I also hope that we've added quality. We've added a couple of Italian internationals, we've added a Brazilian international, who was it? German international. So we've started to bring in, I think, a better quality or a better level of player, but the proof will be in the pudding, won't it? And hopefully we have to get the time to sort of give them a chance to mould into it and see how they do.
Before I ask a couple on the game, just it hasn't been a saga this summer, but people occasionally mention Declan Rice's name and leaving. Is this now showing the ambition this club has got that Declan can stay here for many years to come, because you are now entering the bracket saying £50 million players and maybe more in future?
We are attempting to really try and challenge the best we can. Well, we might, as I said, it might take us a bit to go. I mean, I look at the signings of some of the other teams. We're playing Spurs, and you're going to ask me some questions on them. Spurs have made some really big signings this year. Richarlison, for example. And it blows our. If I'm getting told it's our record signing, no. You probably don't speak too much about Richarlison, but it blows our record signing just for talking. So we've got a long way to go, but we are trying to compete. We're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and we're trying to keep it going.
You mentioned Richarlison. I mean, in terms of a front three, or throw Richarlison and Lucas Moura in there who can't get the team at the moment, are you facing the Premier League's best front three or attacking unit tomorrow night?
Certainly very close to it. I mean, folk could put a case up for Liverpool's front three. Folk would put a case up for Man City with Haaland in the team and how good they are. So I don't know if MD could make that comparison exactly as the best three, but I think they're a very, very good front line, and obviously Harry Kane and Son have been big players for them over the last season or two.
And finally, you've played in and you've managed in, and you know about derbies in both Merseyside and Glasgow. Is this the biggest of the lot, West Ham Spurs?
I think when you come from Glasgow, I think the biggest will always be an Old Firm game if you come from Glasgow. I also get asked those questions when I was at Liverpool, and I also get asked them when I was at Manchester as well. Look, every derby is really important for the manager, for the club. It can give everybody a good feeling. It just happens that we're up against a really good Tottenham team as well.